Hi, friends. Are you someone who has been feeling chronically overwhelmed and tired, or maybe your emotions are spilling out all over the place? They feel like they're preventing you from being or doing the things that you actually want to be doing in your life. Or maybe you find yourself just going through the motions, trying to get to that next vacation, that's next weekend, or even that bath or glass of wine. Well, I want to let you know that you're not alone. And this is exactly why I am doing this episode of Road to Radical Visibility, because I'm here to tell you that you don't need to suffer any longer and that there is a way in which you can know to become aligned and reconnect with your truest and highest self. I'm your host, Rachel Freemon Sowers, also known as the Breakthrough Bitch, because I am passionate about helping people in the LGBTQ plus, neurodiverse, and female communities break through the barriers that are keeping them from becoming more bold in the expression of themselves, their mission, and their truth in business and in life. And as you know, part of being radically visible is the ability to show up 100% yourself 100% of the time. And this is a very difficult thing to do when you're out of alignment with your truest self and your highest self. So I've experienced this for a lot of years and I didn't even know that I was experiencing it. If you followed me for very long, you know that I am an emotional person, a highly sensitive person. But what I didn't realize was that the emotions that were overcoming me, the emotions that were there the majority of the time, were an indicator of the tension in which I was feeling within myself between the self that I thought I was, the identity I thought I was, and then my truest self saying, hey, listen, we don't want to live like this anymore. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I really started doing this even deeper work for me. Now I lead my clients through some deep work. So I deep dived real deep and started really healing some of these deeper parts of myself. Some of the parts of myself that were trying to protect me, some of the parts of myself that were just tired, and really reconnecting with my own truest self, my own wholeness. And this is why another reason why I'm bringing this episode to you, because I really feel like we suffer way longer than we have to. And what it often takes is somebody outside of us, a mentor outside of us, to say, hey, you can trust me, you can partner with me. And that's really what I had in a mentor. So I wanted to bring these 3 signs that it's time to realign with your truest self. And if you've been feeling any of these, I would love to hear it in the comments below. And if this has helped you at all. All right, so let's dive in. The first thing is that you feel or you speak in absolutes. So this often looks like when we feel like we need to have control over a lot of things. I had a client say to me the other day, she's like, Rachel, it's either black or white. I'm very decisive. I'm very analytical. This is how I'm doing it. But oftentimes when we become this way, like, it means that we're operating from a place of deeper fear. We're operating from a place where we feel we need to control things. And she actually said to me, she's like, Rachel, I feel like I have to control everything. And I haven't ever really been like this before. When we realize that operating in absolutes or operating in polar opposites, I'm either fully emotional in my emotions or I've shut them all down. This means we go into our brainstem. This happens so often in our culture and in the world where we feel like we aren't either significant or we don't have a place in the world or we feel out of sorts or we just feel like we don't belong. So we search in all of these things and begin to have very concrete ways of looking at things because our brain can't access the we can't access the parts of our brain that allow us to play with the possibility that things could be different and that they could work out just as well. Another example is people say, well, this is my path. This is the only path. And I was talking to my accountability partner, Eric, in Mexico, and he's like, Rachel, what I realized was that there are several paths to the same great outcome, and they are all really wonderful paths. Another way that this can come across is that we feel like we don't really acknowledge what we need and therefore start taking and holding back from others. So it can look like really, really strong boundaries that are kind of like on steroids. Like I have to go to bed every night at this time. I have to do this at this time. It has to be this exact way. It means you're in the brainstem. This is the first sign that it's time to realign with your truest self, right? The second sign is that you feel like you have big emotions, or like the feelings are kind of taking over your daily activities or preventing you from being the person that you want to be. This comes across as chronic stress. Now, in the helping professions, what I've witnessed throughout my whole entire career, and now I've been in the helping profession career for over 20 years now. Well, that's kind of that's kind of shocking to say. For over 20 years, is that in this culture of either nursing, social work, marriage and family therapists, I mean, doctors, physician's assistants, anything in which you're helping, we're trained to give and give and give and give of ourselves. And even now, when we're taught like, oh, you need to do self-care, you need to do this other self-care, I don't think it's really the deeper work that needs to be done. We're still said you can do some self-care, but then you have to be able to sacrifice this about yourself or sacrifice this for other people. And that's not going to create anything but a feeling of chronic stress, a feeling of chronic anxiety and overwhelm and burnout. And it's kind of like what I said before, you're just waiting. You're using your weekends to heal from your week. And instead of using the weekends to be just this time and glorious way of being with yourself and just being peaceful and how you want to be, right? The chronic anxiety and overwhelm and burnout then equals really a lot of numbing behaviors. And this can feel like just dissociation. You feel like you're there, but you're not really there. I have a client who said to me the other day, she's like, I'm in this meeting, and she came to me because she found herself dissociating all the time. And she's like, I'm somewhere, but then I'm not really there. And then I come back in the room and she's like, I don't like that. I want to be able to be present with my son. I want to be able to be present with my wife. I want to be able to be present in my own life, right? She's like, I'm missing out on something and I'm tired of missing out. This happens, and knowing that when we numb the pain or when we go to numb or avoid a feeling, we also not only avoid that feeling of pain, but we also numb and avoid the feeling of joy and happiness. It's not like if I numb this, then I feel this, because that's not how it works, right? If you numb this, you're not aware enough to feel the joy and pain, the truest, deepest feelings of joy and happiness. And so remember that when you numb one thing, you're really kind of numbing everything except the things that are on the surface. So that's number two. If you feel like you have big emotions all the time, or that the feelings are really taking over your daily activities or becoming, preventing you from being the person that you want to be. All right. So here's the third one. When we are needing to realign with our truest selves, our highest selves, the third indication is probably one that people feel the most. They feel like they're constantly solving, or there's problem after problem after problem. They face one problem, then they have to face another problem, then they have to face another problem, then they have to get over that hurdle, and then I just have to get over that bump, and I have to get over that speed bump, and I have to climb that mountain, and I have to do, right? It's just constant, this striving. A lot of times my clients will say like, well, how am I going to be able to do this? And like, okay, I'm just going to do it. It's just another problem I have to face. I'm here to tell you that life doesn't have to be full of problems. When I aligned with the truest parts of myself, my mentor actually said to me, she said, Rachel, I don't feel like you're crying as much as you were. And this hit me real solid about like a year ago, and I had just aligned so well. And I even noticed, I'm like, I'm not crying now. And before, I would be in like meetings or other group things, and I would be crying because there was a tension within me, and my body was needing to release that tension. And I can't tell you how much I can still be a highly sensitive person, but not have to be so emotional all the time because I'm finally in alignment with my truest self. Another indicator that you're facing problem after problem after problem is that you're constantly saying to yourself, I can do this, 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 I can do this. And it's literally like, okay, I can do it. Okay, I can do it. Now, there's nothing wrong with empowering yourself. I was riding up the south side of Shasta Dam, where it has a 3 mile uphill grade, and I was tired. I'm not gonna lie. And my legs were burning. And I was like, I said to myself up the hill, strong heart, strong legs, strong heart, strong legs, right? We can use this intermittently for the things we need it for. But when it becomes the thing that we always have to say in order to do anything, that's a sign that you're out of alignment with your truest self. So if you're feeling like things are pretty much a challenge and just one more hurdle for you to get through, and you're really finding yourself not focusing or not being able to experience just the good things in your life, like celebrating your wins. I had a client yesterday, and she's been working on this project, and it finally resulted in an outcome that she wanted. And she's been working on this project and focusing on this particular thing for over a year. And yesterday I was like, oh my gosh, like this thing has happened, like you have arrived. And she's like, yeah, but this is what I had to do. And I had to do all this other stuff. And I blah, 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 blah. And she couldn't even focus on how, what she had wanted, what she had desired had come into her reality. And I was like, all right, we still have work to do around that. And it's about celebrating and focusing on the things that actually come into your reality that you have manifested through attention, that you have manifested through focus, that you've manifested through perseverance, that you've manifested through stating your intention. We want to be able to celebrate ourselves too in this life. It's such an important thing. And when you're aligned, you can easily see how things are working in your favor. When you're aligned, you easily see how this emotion is tied to this thing, and therefore it is no longer needing to have the tension, right? It's about knowing that there is the next thing of what else is possible, or playing with the possibility that maybe things can be or work out in a different way. These are all things that when you come into alignment, honestly, they just like dissolve. And you're like, oh shiz, my life is on its path, right? You feel aligned with the path. So these are the top 3 signs that it's time to reconnect with your true self or your higher self and experience the feeling of wholeness in your mind, your body, and your soul, because it is possible. If you're interested in doing this, I highly recommend my Follow Your North Star program. And it really is where you learn how to identify and heal your inner critic. You find and connect with your truest self. It's remarkable. And you create the ultimate self-trust in everything you are, you do, and you say. This will equal you being able to be 100% you, 100% of the time, radically visible without shame or guilt. So you can schedule a North Star call with me. You'll find the link right below. And I hope to see all of you on my calendar. I would also love if something hit you during this video and you're like, yes, I want more of that. I need more of that. This has been my experience. I'd love to have you put it and share it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to make sure that you're notified every single time a new episode drops. And I'll end this video like I end every single video. Please make sure to stay true to yourself, be kind to others, and always, always, always honor the wise one that is within you. I'll see you in the next Road to Radical Visibility show/podcast episode. Bye.